So this week is an exciting week for us because this is when we actually launch HONA TV. It's been a project that's been in the making for a while now. We've been talking about it, but finally we get to do it. So we believe that inspiration comes from many different places, and hopefully one of these stories will inspire you to get up and start doing that project that you've always wanted to do. I got my inspiration from Augustine, because I think that watching him, wake up in the morning to go into the studio and do what he enjoys doing and making that into a career, for me was one thing that struck with me very much. The thought of setting up a business, especially in a foreign country, must be a very daunting task. Where do you start? What things do you need to have? I think that's why I find Augustine's story quite inspiring. We're finally here in the studio with Augustine, and we would like to know everything about yourself, sir. Everything that you've been through, how you started your business. So first of all, I guess, for the viewers and myself, tell us about your business. What do you actually do?
Okay, currently I'm working as a marketing strategist. Okay, so I use social media marketing or social media techniques to get people to buy products. So this is mainly through creating videos, engaging videos, to get people to understand the product that you sell or understand the services that you do. Because I don't know if you know about this, but YouTube is the second largest search engine. So by utilizing YouTube and creating videos, you can actually reach many more people rather than relying on search itself.
That's right.
So I mainly do that strategy of how to create specific videos for a specific product and then promoting it on social media to get as many people to watch it as possible.
YouTube seems to have, blown up in the recent years. A lot of people are using it. A lot of businesses are using it. So I guess you found your niche with YouTube.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I, in fact, as well as doing as having my own business, being a marketing strategist, I also work with one of the largest companies online that creates a software that enables you to build websites, and this company is called Elegant Themes, and I am a content creator for them actually.
Fantastic.
So YouTube is huge, and even the predictions of video, Cisco Systems predicts that in 2019, 80% of the traffic online is going to be video. So you can see how important it is when it comes to structuring your business.
Brilliant. So take us back a little bit. Okay. We now know what you do now.
Okay.
But we want to know how the man came to be. So let's go back to you. When did you sort of come into the UK, and when did you think about starting your own business?
Okay. Yeah. Sure. The year was 2001, December. So I decided to come over here to the UK. Mainly to do networking IT, because my background is actually in design. Okay. I'm actually a fine artist. I used to be very good at painting and drawing, even in school. Yeah. So that was sort of like my angle that I was going to take my career towards. But when my dream of becoming an architect failed, because obviously my parents they couldn't afford my tickets for me to go to the university that I'd applied for in America.
Right, okay.
So I decided to take a different path. So that's when I started studying MCSE, Microsoft Certified Engineering, and I also did a Cisco course, right, CCNA. So I went into networking. Yes. My aim was to come over here to the UK and go into that field. But unfortunately, things didn't work out that well. So I found myself working in a very, very cold warehouse. This was Sainsbury's. That was my first job. So
I think a few of us have been in that factory.
So I could remember saying to myself, no, this is not going to continue.
Yes.
because it was so painful, and I'd never worked so hard in my life.
Yeah.
Because even back home, I had a quite easy job at Agri-Foods. You know, it was very straightforward. You know, there wasn't a lot of manual work. But me in that warehouse doing picking and packing was such a difficult time for me. Not only because I'm not supposed to be doing that kind of job, but the job was really hard. You know, and trying to adjust to the temperatures as well, it was quite difficult. So it was a matter of the job being so difficult to do. So I said to myself while I was in that warehouse, and I remember this moment, I said to myself, no, this time that I'm working is going to be just a stepping stone. I am not going to continue working like this forever. It's not going to happen. So that's the story I told myself, and that's the story I stuck to. So that has always been a plan to get out of that hard work and try and build something for myself.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now, this is the most interesting bit there. Many people have that. You know, many people feel they are in the wrong job, wrong profession. But the courage to move from that environment is, you know, many people lack that. It's very difficult. How did you overcome those sort of thoughts and feelings around, you know, making that move from a paid job into thinking about starting your own, you know, self-employed, you know, business? How did that come about?
Now, I would say determination and focus. When I was in the warehouse, I kept on repeating, you know, certain words, you know, to myself that I need to start my own business. I need to find a way out of this. And I believe that if you focus on something that you want in life and you work towards it, eventually you'll get there. It may be tough, it may be difficult, but eventually you'll get there. So that focus and determination is what really pushed me. And it took me through a lot of sacrifice as well. It meant that I had to learn to work by myself and not be influenced by friends. It meant that I had to stick to the plan, even though things are quite difficult. So yes, it has been a very, very difficult road, but I would say focus and determination is what really drove me to end up setting up my own business.
Brilliant. What about, so again, maybe setting up a business in Zimbabwe, you're in familiar ground. It might feel a little bit easier, but still got its complications. Setting up a business in the UK where you feel you're part of the minority, did you have any of those sort of feelings of feeling prejudiced in any way?
No. Now here's the thing. If you want to be successful, you don't focus on the negative stuff, right? You know, racism will always be there. You always feel like, there's no point that I ever feel that this is my home. You know, I don't feel that way. Yes, I'm a resident here, and my family is here. We are setting up. You know, we've grown up. You know, my kids are growing, but it doesn't feel like it's home. Okay, so you have to understand that even though you're in a foreign land, you have to block those negative thoughts and see what opportunities are there in order for you to reach where you want to go to. So instead of thinking about, maybe I'm viewed this way because I'm from a foreign country, I did not even entertain that idea. What I focused on was, what are the steps for me to set up my own business?
That's right.
And that's what I was searching for.
So just have that business mind. This is where I want to get to.
Absolutely.
And just start walking the journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Makes sense. So now that you now planned that you're going to start this.
Yes.
Okay. Did you feel you had enough resources, capital to get it all started?
Absolutely not. And that's a very good question. Sometimes we have these dreams that we want to do this, we want to do that, right? And it may sound crazy, but I had no resources. Now, because back then I had to start a business where I was designing websites, right? I had no idea what the programming languages were. Wow. Absolutely no idea. Okay. So what I did is, at that time, I remember as well, there was dial-up internet, believe it or not. In 2001, 2002, there was dial-up internet. And Google was not as advanced as it is now, where you can find information easily. So I used to buy magazines from W.H. Smith.
Wow.
Web design magazine.
To learn the art of web creation.
Absolutely. Wow. So I used to read these magazines. There were specific ones. I was also looking at Photoshop magazines, where I would learn how to use the software, right? And also web development. Yeah. So I was reading all this through magazines. So every single month, in fact, there was a time where my wife really went crazy, you know, and said, look, why do you have all these magazines in here? Because every single month I used to buy these magazines. So that's how I started learning how to do it. And it was very, very difficult, you know, to learn. And fortunately, unlike back home in Zimbabwe, it's very easy to find, you know, to get an old computer and start working on it. So that I would say was an advantage for me. So I got an old computer, and I remember installing Dreamweaver. I think at that time it was Dreamweaver MX. That's the software that you use to design websites. And my first website I designed came through by a guy who I used to work with. His brother was setting up a restaurant, in an area called Dunstable. So that's where now I mean, he approached me and he said, look, my brother wants to set up a website. Do you know anyone who can design websites? So I said, yeah, I can do it. Now, I took on the job without even knowing, you know, exactly how to do it. But I liked that idea that I put myself in the deep end. So now that put me in a position where I had to do all the research to find out how it's done.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see what I mean? So that's pretty much how, you know, how the journey started.
So this is important, I think, because many people feel to get into, to start something, to get into business, you've got to be an expert already. You know, but they don't realize that you can teach yourself to be an expert.
Absolutely.
You can get into something, research it, and become an expert, and then start it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
how long did that take you actually? How long did that take you to be an expert, to go through that?
A very long time. And bearing in mind that the web design field, it evolves. Right. So, you know, there's Dreamweaver. There's also a way to do it, you know, manually using HTML and CSS. So it was just evolving, and things were getting better and better and better. So in terms of learning, it's a continuous journey. Even right now, I'm still learning. You know, I don't use Dreamweaver MX at all. I'm now using WordPress. So again, I had to relearn how to use, you know, WordPress. And right now there are themes that are coming out which require an extra skill. So it's an ongoing process. You just never stop learning. So becoming an expert, I would say it comes through, you know, experience and the number of websites that you actually work on. So the more you do them, the more it becomes easy for you. And when it becomes easy for you, that's where you feel like, okay, now I'm at a position where I'm actually comfortable and I'm good at what I do. But I'm still, you know, the journey is still going.
So I'm guessing that your type of job is it doesn't matter where you are in the world. You can be able to become somebody who creates websites.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, what advice would you have for somebody, say for example, somebody in Zimbabwe, you know, who feels, you know what, I would like to be a designer based in Zimbabwe. Do they have to do anything different from the way you do it here in the UK?
Actually, it's much easier now to be a web designer because there is a ton of videos on YouTube. So I would say for someone who is in Zimbabwe specifically, right? Stop watching prank videos and crazy videos and spend your bandwidth on watching how to design websites. You know, there's a lot of, I mean, in fact, you'll be surprised how much I learned, you know, on YouTube. Whether it's video editing, whether it's presentation skills, lighting, how to use the camera, which camera I should buy, everything is on there on YouTube. Fantastic. So everything that you need to learn is actually on YouTube. And this is the best time ever to learn any skill because people are putting all this information out there online. That's what I do every day. You know, I create videos to teach people, empower people to learn how to, you know, design websites, how to become creative, how to do all these marketing skills. So that's what I do, and all this information is out there for free. So if someone wants to become a website designer, with your particular videos that you do, can they if they start to watch from A to Z, can that lead them all the way to creating a website, creating a website? Absolutely. I mean, right now there's a course I'm working on, which I'm going to give away for free, you know, for all our viewers. So that's for someone who wants to start from scratch. I'm talking about, you've never heard of web design before. You know, from the moment you start, I mean, what you need to know. What is a domain name? And why is it important? How do you search for it? Where do you buy it? To your hosting, what is hosting? How do you set up WordPress? How do you design the website? How do you add pages? How do you add videos onto your website? All that information is in that course.
And it's free.
It's free.
What else can we ask for?
There's no excuse. There's no excuse. Absolutely.
Okay, what about the somebody who doesn't really want to go into web design, but they feel their business needs a website? What can you do for them, or what can you help them? What advice can you give them, and what they can do?
Yeah, I would say right now when you're an entrepreneur or small business owner, right, you want to minimize your outgoings as much as you can, right? So instead of paying £3,000, £4,000 to a web designer, you can actually design your own website. You see, so you can actually design your own website, and it's very, very easy to do. So I would say, again, you can go to those tutorials online, or even the tutorial that my course that I'm putting together, and just learn from that and have your own website, which you can manage yourself without stressing that your designer is late with your designs, and things are going wrong. So I would say, do it yourself.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
After the experience that you've had running your own business now, by the way, how long have you been running your own business? What sort of time period do you say you've been operating?
I would say about 10 years now.
10 years. Brilliant.
Yeah,
and
about 10 years.
Is it something that you now, recommend, advise people to start their own businesses? How easy is the journey? I know it's difficult, it's a subjective question, but if I was to ask you, I'm also starting a business, or if I didn't have one, I wanted to start one, what would your advice be to me?
Okay, my advice would be, you have to manage your time effectively, even if it means cutting out your social life, because that's how the journey is going to be. It's going to require you to make drastic changes to your lifestyle, to what you do. Like, for example, I have very few friends, because every time I'm trying to work on something, or I'm in my business, I'm learning something new every time. So I don't have time to spend, the whole weekend just hanging out.
Okay.
That to me is valuable time. Okay. So that's something you have to be, you have to be ready to sacrifice. Yeah.
You
right?
have to invest time into it.
Exactly. You have to invest your time into that. Secondly, unfortunately, the family can be affected as well. Okay. There are so many times that I sleep in the office. Wow. Because work needs to be done. Yeah. Because I'm learning something that needs to be applied there and then. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? So these are the challenges that come with starting your own business. Right. Yeah. And again, obviously, it depends what business it is. You see, with the work that I do in digital marketing, it requires a lot more, because things keep changing. Right. But it doesn't take away the fact that you do need to make sure that you use your time wisely.
So I guess what one needs is understanding family, people to understand what you're doing, and subscribe to it, and let you have the room to do it.
Absolutely. This is a conversation that you need to have. If you have a partner or your wife, whatever it is, this is something that you have to discuss, because it's going to mean a lot of frustrations, even sometimes your mood. Yeah. When things don't work the right way, sometimes you can have a bad mood, and that can affect even the kids, or even your wife. So you have to be on the same sort of wavelength when it comes to deciding to set up your own business, because there are a lot of challenges. It's not an easy road, and that is why I like sharing this stat. 95% of all businesses fail in the first, I think it's the first 3 years. Think about it. 95%. That means it's not easy, but it's doable.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's one thing we got to say out, a message that we got to give out there, that it's not easy, but it's achievable. Yeah. You can do it.
Absolutely. If it was that easy, everyone else would be doing it.
Absolutely.
So it can be achieved. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. Yes.
Fantastic. Mentorship. What's your view on mentorship? In terms of, did you have a mentor yourself, or did you just are you self-taught and just went with it? What's your view on
that? Right. Mentorship is very, very important. Okay, first of all, answer the first part of your question. Okay. Did I have a mentor? No. Okay. Now, I guess when you're hungry for something, and you're really hungry, there won't be need for a mentor.
You will just go ahead and do it.
You will just have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there are also cases where someone wants to get somewhere, but they need that guidance and that push. Like, let's say, for example, There's certain tasks every day that you need to do for you to achieve the end goal, right? Yeah. Sometimes a mentor can actually work in making you accountable and saying, right, Godwill, have you done these tasks today? In those cases where you're feeling lazy, they'll push you. Yeah. So this is where now a mentor would work. But yes, I mean, I would say if you feel that you need that extra support, yes, it's very important, to help you push through. But if you are determined yourself and you're focused and you're self-motivated, there's no need for a mentor.
So what we're saying there is, it's an advantage if you have a mentor because you've got somebody who can guide you.
Yes, absolutely.
But still, that doesn't stop you from starting because you can still be self-determined and carry on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, yes.
So let's talk about, I guess, things that went wrong. Okay. Right. You're setting up your business. What things went wrong? Those are the things we need to know.
There's so many.
Give us some of them.
There's so many.
Tell us about
Okay, I'll tell you one interesting one. Now, this was a crazy one. I set up my company to be VAT registered.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it meant that when I buy equipment for my...
So this is what the tax meant. This is how to do the tax. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So it meant that every time I buy equipment for my company, I can claim the VAT back.
Right, okay.
So what happened is there was a misunderstanding between me and my accountant.
Right, okay.
So there's a journey that I planned. We went to Zimbabwe. And because these tickets have VAT on them, or I mean tax, right?
Yeah.
I thought you could claim tax on those tickets.
Right. Okay.
On your business if you're doing a business travel.
Travel, yeah.
Apparently, it wasn't the case. You're not supposed to be claiming VAT on plane tickets.
Right. Okay.
Yes. It's
so
not.
It's not part of transportation, or
no,
you pay for you get car exemptions and things like that. You don't get that with travel.
No. The type of tax that's involved with the plane travel is different to the tax that you're allowed to claim back. At least that's what I ended up finding out.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So now I had claimed all that money, thinking that I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that I did the wrong thing, and this flagged, the HMRC, and they did their investigations.
Oh wow!
And it meant that I'd owed thousands to HMRC, and you can imagine you're a small business, you're starting out, £1,000 is a lot of money. Yeah. So it meant now that I had to put my company into liquidation. And I mean, there are also other factors that caused my company to struggle because my outgoings were way more.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And as a result of that, the stress and all, I was not keeping up now with the client's work, and I had to do a lot of refunds. And there were cases where, the cash flow was really a big deal. Right. So this was due to the lack of understanding of how things be. So this is one of the challenges I had. Another challenge is there was a time where I was so determined to take my business to the next level.
To try to grow too quickly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I got in touch with Groupon, and this was crazy because I just picked up the phone and I said I need to speak to Groupon and help them and let them help me market my web design services. Yeah. For some reason, I had a feeling that it would work out.
Okay, yeah.
And this is the crazy part. Yeah. So I picked up the phone, and at the end of the line, there's a lady that picked up the phone, and I said, "Look, I have a plan or a strategy that's going to make you and me a lot of money." And this lady started laughing, and she thought I was joking.
Yeah.
And then she said, "Well, you do sound serious." And I said, "Yes, I'm serious." They said, "Okay, so what's your strategy? What's your plan?" Now, I had done some research way beforehand to see who does web design services here in the UK, I mean, here in Birmingham. And I noticed that there were very few people that were doing that.
Right, okay.
And the training side of it as well. So what I did now is I approached Groupon and I said to them, "Look, I'm willing to train people how to design websites, and at the same time we could also run another campaign where I design websites for people, but at a massive discount. Right. So a website that cost £200, I mean £2,000, the deal was they'll get 80% off.
Right. Okay.
And I'll sell it for 200.
Right.
And we ran this campaign, and I had hundreds of people who were interested in this. So you can imagine trying to build hundreds of websites.
Yeah.
And it's a two-man band.
Oh, yeah.
How do you do it?
So you didn't have the staff
the staff and the resources.
The resources to get the work going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was another challenge. On one hand, I was excited that I have all these websites, but even if I had all the time in the world to do it,
you couldn't have managed to.
Physically, I could not manage to do it. So I had to work late hours. I had to work. It was so stressful. It's unbelievable. I mean, it was very, very painful. So this is one of those things where it looks like, yes, it's a lot of work, but actually, it's a challenge.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's another challenge, and there's quite a lot I could say.
So two things I've picked up here. The first thing is get a good accountant. As a first thing, somebody who will give you solid advice and you don't get in trouble with the tax man, and obviously your accounts are kept intact.
Correct.
But secondly, as you say, don't grow too quickly.
Absolutely.
You need to take baby steps. Absolutely. And just move at the pace that you can manage.
Correct.
Is that correct? Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. Yes. Well summarized.
No. This is the, I guess, the core of what people need to understand, that it can be done, but obviously these are the steps on how you can do it. I guess the only thing that I probably need to ask you in the end is, where are you going from now? I mean, what's the future like for you now? What are you thinking of? I know there's a lot in your head and your mind, but where can we see you progressing to with it?
Well, that's a secret.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Where I see myself growing is eventually I would like to be a consultant, and secondly, I've always wanted to be a motivational speaker. One thing that I've learned is through the videos that I create and I put online. I'm not saying this to brag. No. But a lot of people. Yeah. It's helping a lot of people. Yes. From different parts of the world. So I would like to continue that journey because for me, it's not necessarily the money thing, right? To me, it's about helping someone, manage to feed their family through the knowledge that I can, impact on them. I think that's more of what I want to do. Absolutely.
I mean, I've watched you perform. So I've been the lucky one being in here, seeing those, many people from like India and the United States, people responding to you as you're doing your tutorials, and I find that quite fascinating. What we didn't actually say is, your YouTube site has got a subscription following of about nearly 20,000 people.
Yes, 20,000 people.
And your videos have been viewed more than 1 million times.
Actually, 2 million.
2 million times, which in itself, for me, is mind-blowing.
Yes,
and there's more you can go with it. So I guess another aspect of what you just said for me here is, not only are you doing this to get financial security, but you're also doing this to fulfill something, an inner desire to help other people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, of course, money is good. But what I'm saying is, if you cover your basics, right? Yeah. You've put your savings on the side, your money that you need, in case of emergencies, the kids are fine, you're living a lifestyle that you're happy with. I mean, to me, once you reach that line, I mean, the rest is unnecessary, really. Absolutely.
For me, back, you've been inspiring. Not only from today's interview. I mean, I got to know you even more.
Yes.
But you've inspired me by me meeting you and getting to know you. And I guess for people that have been watching, for you guys who have been watching at home, at work, in your businesses, I believe that what Augustine has been talking about today, you will find inspiring, and also get you to start your own business if you haven't started. Any closing words?
Yeah, I would say you need to have a plan, right? So don't let anyone stop you from achieving your dreams, because this is what happens sometimes. Something that I hadn't touched on is, while I was on my journey to focus on my skills that I needed to get to the finish line, there were people that were saying, why are you wasting your time studying and doing all this? Others are buying buses and combis back home, buying houses back home. So if you're not strong, that can actually take you from your path of getting to your final destination. So sometimes you just have to stay focused on your dream and just work at it, no matter what. So that's what I would say. And always hang around with people who are like-minded.
Absolutely.
Okay? I mean, there's this saying where if you want to be an eagle, don't swim with the ducks. So that I would say is my my advice that I could give.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mac. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.